there were no fences. We
No.
ran across yards. We
Yeah.
cut through. We did, and everything from the time I moved to San Antonio has had privacy fences.
Yeah.
And as soon as you put up the fences and add the heat, why go
Just
outside?
saying.
Welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy, a real estate podcast with the goal to educate, inform, and save their listeners time as they navigate the market and properties in their neighborhoods. Get ready to join real-life siblings and professional real estate advisors, Donna Reed and Eric Seemann, as they discuss how it may be simple, but it ain't always easy.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah. Oh.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Real Siblings. It Ain't Easy, a real estate podcast that just ain't typical. I'm Donna, and he's Eric, and we are the Real Siblings. We are both professional realtors with Keller Williams, and just for your reference, we both got older since we recorded the last one, and I think I still look younger. Don't you think, Eric? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
The podcast blends lifestyle together with real estate as we work to communicate, educate, connect, and entertain our listeners. While the topics vary and our conversations do go in a lot of directions, we work to provide our listeners with insights into the industry, which we hope then better equips them for their next real estate transaction.
Woohoo.
And Eric, for those that are watching, we have some new pictures behind us. So why don't you tell everybody what we're going to talk about today?
All right. So in episode 25, we spent time talking about HVAC or air conditioning systems and keeping cool inside in our various climates. Today, we're going to talk about keeping cool outside. And of course, the question is that even really possible in the areas where we have chosen to reside? Here in South Central Texas, June of 2023, and we still have today and tomorrow, will have set a new record for highest number of triple-digit air temperature days during the month.
Wow.
Than ever previously recorded. And that all happened since my birthday, June 16th. So since June 16th to the end of the month, we set a new record because essentially every single day in San Antonio since June 16th on has been 100 degrees air temperature, higher with heat indexes, which are approaching 116 degrees, I think was the highest one.
So have you had humidity too, Eric?
And yes, of course, we have humidity.
Yeah.
We get, if we get a southeastern breeze, it brings coastal moisture in. So we will average somewhere around 60 to 90%. There were a couple of days right after my birthday where we were 100% humidity when we walked the dogs at 78 degrees in the morning at 100% humidity.
Wow.
That whole feels like a wet blanket.
Yeah. I've been watching the news because they've been saying about and it's across, and Houston's been the same. And then I've heard things about Big Bend National Park and all the things that have been happening there. We're the same way. Our first 2 weeks of June were spectacular. We were like, oh, it's still cool in the morning and it's hot at night, but it's, and then bam, like summer arrived.
And
Yeah.
what did you say the temperature was today?
So I think it's like 109. I've been trying to not go outside. Let me look at my phone. Yeah, right around there. And
what's your humidity right now?
I would guess
Dry heat.
Yeah, that dry heat, we might be at 7%. I don't know. I had somebody tell me it's more humid. I haven't checked that, but this is what it takes. It takes these super hot temperatures for us to get into the monsoon season, which then usually arrives, honestly, the end of June or early July. So sometime, hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll get some of those storms blow in, and then that, takes us up and down for a while.
Well, and local news has to figure out a clever way to emphasize how hot it is, right? So when we're going to be 100 degrees every day for the next 7 days, low temperature, high temperature, not a whole lot of change. What do you do to create interest? So one of our local meteorologists cooked hot dogs on his dashboard the other day.
For real?
He took an electric probe that you would use for checking the internal temperature of meat on a barbecue grill, He got the inside of the hot dogs up to 168 degrees, sitting on his dashboard in about 20 minutes.
Yeah. And
They were blistering.
This is when all the memes come out about living here with the dry heat, like the one I had the last time. And I saw one just a little bit ago about something in the car and people just touching the steering wheel with their thumb. And that is true. I mean, my car was so hot inside, which none of this helps us sell homes this time of year. But I did have somebody say, yeah, you just equate it to the 6 months that you might stay inside in northern Minnesota in the snow, right?
Right. Perspective.
Yeah, we deal with what we deal with. So, all right. So we're talking temperatures. A lot of restaurants here have misters, Eric. A lot of the outdoor dining, or people on their patios. That probably doesn't happen if you have the humidity, right?
No, we do not have those misters. It has to be a really unusual day. And of course, with Steph living up in Phoenix and being in Scottsdale and being out to visit you, we've been to all kinds of places where they have the misters and the big fans. And I think the last time we were up in Phoenix area, we went to Oso where Adam used to work.
Yeah.
And the back patio has artsy fans, as I'll refer to it, because it looked like giant bicycle tires.
Yeah.
And then they had these 48-inch fans inside there, and then the misters blowing it out. So you were, whether your beer was sweating or not, you were feeling the moisture.
That's true. That's true. You were getting that mist over you, which I really like. I saw a lady move at a restaurant a couple of weeks ago. She was trying to get away from it, but it was breezy. It didn't matter where she went at her table. She was still going to get the mist on her. But for me, I'm like, just give me some moisture.
And you know what? We don't even get that many patios that I can think of that have fans, maybe one or two, but not to the extent that I've ever seen out in your part of the country.
Well, and the other thing is that right now, then you get, if you don't want to sit outside, because you got to really decide if you want to be outside, dining. And then if you go inside, then I'm taking a sweater because I'm cold. Because now the temperatures, they have the inside kitchen, right? So the kitchen's hot, the workers are hot. So they have the temperature set at like 71, which feels like a refrigerator to me after being in 110. So it's kind of craziness this time of year.
It is interesting. So when you've got those kind of temperatures day in and day out, asphalt, pavement, do you have people that walk their dogs in the dog booties?
Oh, yeah. And like everybody, I mean, people go to bed at 8:30 so that they can get up. And if they're going to exercise, they get up at 4:30 or 5 and they do it as the sun is rising or before the sun is rising and get as much done as they can. The other thing, it's interesting you mentioned the asphalt, because I remember when we first moved here thinking the roads were going to be in great shape because we don't have salt and snow to deal with, right? Yep. Well, instead, we melt the asphalt.
And you can see the turning patterns for the trucks as they come in because it gets that wave.
Yeah. It's all the exact same spot. And that just amazes me, frankly. I'm accustomed to it at this point, but it's the reason that we get holes in the road and stuff like that. So crazy.
So surprising, even with all the temperatures and everything else, lots of conversations here in San Antonio about getting outside in parks and public pools have been open and things along those lines. And I'll just be honest, I never have felt like San Antonio was an outdoor city. And being here now 31 years, maybe some of that even goes back to, we talked in a previous episode in Lindsey, there were no fences. We ran across yards. We cut through. We did, and everything from the time I moved to San Antonio has had privacy fences.
Yeah.
And as soon as you put up the fences and add the heat, why go outside?
Right.
And so I just contrasted. Yeah. I guess I feel like San Antonio, as big as it is, has a lot of small regional pockets that feel very, very small, but not like if you're in Manhattan, where you've got 2 bodegas, a food store, and something else because you have no refrigerator in your apartment. Yeah. You buy everything fresh or you eat on the street.
Right.
This neighborhoods have a very distinctive vibe.
Yeah.
So you have that feeling of it. but it was never still a couple of families to get together on a patio. It
Yeah.
wasn't a, let's all go to the park.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
It just wasn't. Whereas Austin, sitting on Town Lake with the University of Texas system and everything that goes on up in Austin, has had running paths and biking paths and paddle boats and canoes and all of that. Even as much as San Antonio's main attraction after the Alamo is the Riverwalk, you don't, it's tour boats. You don't
Yeah.
kayak in it for exercise. You don't
Right, right.
paddleboard in it like you do up in Austin. So there was a very different, both metro areas, but I always felt like Austin is more cosmopolitan as opposed to metropolitan, if those
Oh, that's
distinctions make any
interesting.
kind of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's interesting that you say that, because then I'm looking at the picture behind you, which is a merry-go-round with your grandkids on it. What did you call it? Because it's like the ones that we grew up with.
It's what we grew up with, right? In Lindsey, I called
More
it
bars. There's more
the
bars
wheel
on
of
this.
death.
The wheel of death. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the older brother there in the red shirt
Yeah.
and the coat that you can see has got little brother on, hanging on for dear life as he's running as fast as he can, trying to use centripetal force to have everybody fly off of.
Yeah, yeah. And what's funny is, okay, so not looking at that picture and thinking about how those don't exist very much. Also, what's underneath it? Is it wood chips or
It's
what
wood
is it?
chips.
Okay, okay. Is there anybody, when we grew up, it was grass and mud, and now there's like rubberized product and all that. What is it common to have the wood chips in the
This
park?
is a pretty unusual park. So this park actually is in a fully engulfed suburb of San Antonio called Leon Valley. San
Okay.
Antonio, like completely like an amoeba, reached out and completely surrounded numerous suburbs as it
Is
has
that where
continued
Leon
to
Springs
grow.
was with that restaurant that I really like?
No, Leon Springs
Oh,
is different Leon Valley. So Leon
okay.
Springs hasn't been entirely surrounded yet, but Leon
Okay.
Valley, so it's its own park. So that's why the equipment's a little bit different. The makeup is a little bit different. San Antonio parks, no, I've never seen one of these in a San Antonio park
Interesting.
because I think it's now deemed to be too dangerous.
Right, right. What about a slide? What about a silver metal slide?
Oh, no metal slides. Everything's plastic, and
Yeah.
most of the parks now, and they continue to go back and retrofit some of the older parks to put the canopies up over the playground equipment.
And do they have sides? Do they have like tall slides? Because I
Oh yeah,
remember.
oh yeah. Tube slides. They're not like the slides we had in
No.
the Wendell C. Miller Park now in Lindsey, which was
You like hang over the side of the slide,
climb
right?
a series of steps, and it had the wave in it. You had one that went straight down and one that had the little
that
bit of the
was
wave.
Yeah.
But we fell off of them. We ran up them. I remember people's feet slipping and hanging upside down on the.
Yeah.
And everything is
Most of
designed
us
kinder,
survived.
gentler, friendlier than that nowadays.
Oh my gosh. So you did, I know you did some research and I did a little bit of research about, so talk about San Antonio and what that means. When you say San Antonio, first of all, hopefully our listeners know that you don't actually live in San Antonio. You're up in the hill country. You're up in the hills. So
Correct.
when you talk about how many parks are in and around San Antonio, what kind of information did you come up with?
So when I looked at it, and I went to the San Antonio Parks and Recreation Division, which
Okay.
you said, we know there was a TV show about parks and recreation.
Yeah.
But for as much as I don't consider San Antonio to be an outside, and growing up in a village that had one park, San Antonio has listed on their registry 233 different city parks. Those range from as small as a couple of acres, little neighborhood parks in some of the areas that were closest towards downtown, to now some of them that are 50 plus acres or even larger. One of the
But
most
not an
recent,
HOA park. You and I talked, that's not like a
right,
little.
not an HOA park. These are public parks. So one of them, distinctive, is the Phil Hardberger Park. Phil Hardberger was previous mayor of San Antonio. They acquired some land and turned it into more of what we might remember up in Toledo area, Metro Park.
Okay.
And they had put in a connective highway that cut the area in half. So now they had two parks that were all the same park. Philanthropists stepped in. We built the largest land bridge in the continental United States, going across a 4-lane center median highway, which
Wow.
is walking deers, animals. They've got cameras up there that show all the wildlife making it back and forth across this bridge, trees and everything on it. The weekend it opened, we had Brentley and Jameson were with us, and we took them out to see the park.
Where is it? Where part of the city, like whereabouts in town?
Probably for best or easiest for you would be, say, getting close to the airport.
Okay,
Because
so
it actually, the
airport's
planes
off of-
kind of fly over it.
So that's
on
off
their
of
approach.
35. Is that what it is? The north
No,
south?
it would be, it's inside 1604, the loop
Okay,
1604,
Okay.
but kind of
Okay.
north central, but inside 1604.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
And
Wow.
then gardens, clubhouses, community centers, 80 outdoor trails and greenways now. Some of them you can go as long as 17 miles before you'd have to do a turnaround. And finally, the last one is 25 indoor and outdoor pools, all maintained by the city.
All right, so let me give you the numbers that I looked up for Tucson because it's interesting. Okay, I still say we have about 1 million people year round and about 2 million in the winter. Are you guys comparable to that in numbers? Remind me.
No, we're closer now to 2.5 million
On a regular basis, yeah.
on
you
a
don't do
regular
seasonal.
basis.
Okay.
Now, what I haven't been able to clearly identify on that is that says San Antonio Metro. I don't know if they're counting all of the little suburbs that have
Okay.
been enveloped in that.
Yeah.
But that's the
Yeah.
number that I'm using. That's why I say the entire metro area or our MLS will go out to over 3 million
Okay.
because of all
So-
the houses and the reach and everything.
I looked up city of Tucson and then I looked up county. So city of Tucson, they said 132 parks, 19 rec centers, 25 pools. I didn't see whether that was indoor or outdoor, 7 splash pads. And then it went on to talk about places where you could fish, which I've always sort of made jokes about, but a lot of people go fishing here and that.
Is that why you have your background?
Yeah,
Because-
yeah. Oh, you can go. Well, this is not one of the fishing places, but this is one of our most popular parks to go to because you can hike. There's waterfalls. The water comes down off of Mount Lemon when the snow melts and stuff. And this one is a national forest, over in Sabino Canyon. And so it's one of the ones that every day people are walking, and there's a tram that you can take back into the kind of cavern way or whatever.
Did we not go back that far? I don't remember the tram.
I don't remember, and the tram has been updated. It used to be, of course, you could hang out the window, and now it's not, those things. But
So the
then they
doors are
went-
up and they
they went into
controlled now, right?
sports fields, natural trails, the same kind of things that you talked about. And then when I went to the county page, they added 51 more parks. And so I'm in the county, which is kind of fascinating because I'm surrounded by not in the county, and for me, then the biggest thing that we're known for is the bike trails, the bike paths. There's something called the Loop, and we have a big race here every year, the El Tour de Tucson in November, and people come from all over the world to ride bikes. You can ride, and I'm going to say this number without rechecking it. I think you can go about 150 miles, and never be in town. Now, if somebody rides here and you listen to this all the time, and I'm totally wrong, you're going to know that I'm not one of the bike riders. But the trails
send us the correct numbers.
Okay, I'll look it up.
No, I'm saying if someone's listening and
Yeah. You're
not
right.
above correction. We don't do
That's true. There's no way that we claim to be perfect with this, So, but when I go along the washes and the rivers and I see, you might see a horse down in the wash when there's no water, somebody's riding their horse. Then on both sides, there's the trails that people can be riding, walking their dogs, pushing their babies, doing all of that all over town and never have to get on the main roads. And that's pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So public parks, as subdivisions have developed, amenity centers, per your HOA comment a minute ago, has gone up dramatically.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of the enticing factors for living in a place, right?
So is it dual purpose then? Is it marketing or necessity?
Yes.
That's what
So,
I'm saying. Is it
yeah.
dual purpose?
As the city has expanded into thus uncharted land. So I'm going to just say Gladden Farms, which is very far northwest and was farmland, cotton farms back in the day, is now totally developed and pre-planned as compared to old Tucson, where they never expected 1 million people here in town, right? So now the new places automatically have the bike trails, automatically have the parks, automatically have the pools and all of that. And the community is almost developed before the rest of the infrastructure is, before the grocery store. There is just a Fry's going into one of in Old Marana. And
what's a Fry's?
Fry's is a Kroger brand.
Hey.
It's a grocery store. And I noticed the other day that there's now there used to be just like a Circle K and one other gas station. And then the place you could get your grain and your straw and stuff like that if you were farming. And then there was a Starbucks. And now there's a Bisbee Breakfast Club, which is a great breakfast place. And there is a roundabout. And then down the street, there's still somebody making homemade Mexican food or Indian food in the morning on the side of the road. And then there's
in a little trailer.
In a little trailer. Yep.
Right. And not even considered a food truck at that point, because it's a little tow behind trailer that
they just plunk down and start. So it's a little bit of everything. And yet, I don't know whether you say, if you build it, they will come, like in that movie, or whether they came and so now they're building it. Right. The people came. So,
well, and here it's just, they continue to develop and they continue to grow. As you got out towards, well, Marriott just sold, but there's an area in San Antonio, Premier Professional Golf Courses, TPC, the Players Club. And the Marriott resort that was out there. Okay. This is over on the north and east side of San Antonio.
Okay.
That's when I started seeing the subdivisions to step up. The houses got a little bit bigger and the amenity center got bigger. So we've got amenity centers going in now where it used to be a playground.
Yep.
And something like that, to the playground, to the splash pad, to the playground, to the pool, to the playground, the pool, the splash pad, and the lazy river. I've had some that have been like going to a full-on water park with those 3-story water tanks that collect the water and then dump them on people. They've got 2 and 3-story tube slides that take you down. They do a full-on water park that's part of the amenity center.
Yeah. Well, and that adds to the HOA, to the cost to live there. But when you think about, you drive all the time. You and I talk a lot when you're driving into town, and you talk about time versus distance, right? So, and Tucson's the same way. Am I going to go left when I should go right? Because even though it's further, I'm going to avoid something that's happening in this direction or that direction. So if in fact people can stay home being in an area, a community or whatever, and have all those amenities without going somewhere else, to be fair, if you want the Riverwalk and the Alamo, you got to go downtown. That's it. That's your choice. But if the rest of the items are things that you can do, I'm going to say regionally within a town, right?
Right.
Then that's what they're going to do. And that used to be for us predominantly the active adult communities, where you can go. And if you were a woodworker, you can go build stuff in the wood shop. Because they have that as an option, but you don't have to have the garage with the saws and all the tools, So, but more and more they are doing that for a family. And you're right. It's kind of interesting, what's happening.
And then they've got walking areas for your dogs.
Yep.
And of course, everything has to be cleaned up.
Do you have little dog, big dog? Because we do have that.
Yep. Yep, sure do.
Go dog, go.
And again, I told you almost all of our playgrounds now have some sort of canopy on them. Even the HOA ones, if they put out equipment, will have some sort of large covered canopy to help keep them from being scorching hot. And of course, we talk slides, and our slides were metal. Yeah. If you were in 108-degree day, who's going to use a metal slide?
Metal slide. Yeah.
You're going to get first-degree burns by sitting your child down on top of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when we first moved here, I know I've told you this. I don't know if I've ever said this on this podcast. My kids, we came here in July, and summer was when you were outdoors in Ohio. And they were like, what do you do here in the summer? And I see these kids playing soccer in 105 degrees. They've grown up with it. They're accustomed to it, and they drink lots of water.
So you can climatize, but I've got to
Yeah.
think, just like you said, if you're going to be an early morning exerciser, you're up early. So you're home early.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a point where this time of year out there, say 10 to 4, noon to 4, that even if you can sit outside in a mister area, you're inside because the heat is just so intense?
Yeah, for the most part. I looked down at, there's a restaurant called Sace, which is down the way from my office yesterday. And I looked to see if anybody was sitting outside when I left. It's all covered and they have misters. And it was about 1:30 and I saw 2 people. And typically, other parts of the year that would be packed. We choose. And that is part of why I do love living here, because there's so much of the year where you can do it. But our office is moving across the street, Eric, and I'm ecstatic because we have a western set of stairs that go upstairs. And as a result, that metal railing, if I went over there right now, I wouldn't be able to touch the railing.
Right, wouldn't be able to touch it.
And so at the new place, I just walk in at ground level and it's all covered. So you speak of covers, I'm like so excited, and it's block, it's not metal.
So we're still getting outside. There's ways to stay cool.
Yep.
Adjust your schedule.
Yep. Well,
throw some moisture out in your area.
Yeah, throw some moisturizer on every day, all the days, all the time. Like sucks it up.
And
I told you I'm having a party for myself tomorrow night, and it's from 6:30 to 9 p.m. and I went up to see how low the sun would be in the sky at that point, if the Ramada would predominantly give us shade, not knowing at all who will go in a pool and who won't, but absolutely it's scheduled around the time of day when I think we might be able to tolerate it.
All right, before I close this, explain that term. Is a Ramada similar to if I was in Hawaii, would it being on the lanai? Or
yeah, it's just instead of a solid roof, it's wood slats, and it's one great big one. We can see there's 3 tables with like 12 people, the chairs there that can fit underneath it. And it's
so if we were in Lindsey, would that be a shelter house?
Yeah, the shelter house there has a full roof.
Right.
This doesn't have a full roof.
But you don't have a full roof because why?
Because we want the sun half the time. I don't know.
That's well, you want the sun, but if you're out, what are the chances of planning an outdoor activity and getting rain?
Oh, yeah, little or none. That's true.
Compared to the shelter house. And a Ramada different than a pergola? If you put it in your backyard, would you be putting in a pergola?
You might call it a pergola.
A Ramada?
Yeah, either one. I would call it either or. You could call it a pergola. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to get this terminology down, because you said the other day in one of our previous episodes about a hacienda style, and I think up till now we've talked about Santa Fe and we've talked about some other things, and it's like, so where does that fit in, and how does that change? So fit in our box.
Fit in this box. That's
all right. All right. Well, we want to thank everyone for listening and joining us. We've recalled how life in our areas and in Lindsey impacted our lives and careers. It is not the houses or just the lifestyle, but a wonderful blend of the two. As we close out this episode, please keep in mind that our goal is to communicate, educate, connect, and entertain with you, our listeners. We are both realtors with Keller Williams, and we are here to help you find the perfect property for your family to call home. And I've created an acronym for that. You're going to have to hang on for what that means. And create your own lasting memories to build your own wonderful life. If you're in San Antonio or South Central Texas, I'm available to assist you, while Donna is in Tucson, Arizona. If you are across the United States or around the world, we are both part of extensive networks of real estate professionals, and we would be happy to connect you with an amazing realtor. Remember, it may be simple. It ain't always easy. Until next time, I'm Eric.
And I'm Donna.
And we are Real Siblings.
Real Siblings.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah.
Hi, I'm Annabelle, and I want to thank you for investing your valuable time in listening to Real Sibling. It Ain't Easy. I hope you found this episode informative and enjoyable. There are several ways you can support this podcast with my Grandpa Eric and Aunt Grandma. Please take the time to like, follow, and subscribe. Additionally, leave them a 5-star rating along with a review on your preferred podcast platform. The final thing I would ask is that you recommend this podcast to a friend, a family member, or an associate. Your engagement is critical to their ongoing success, and they look forward to connecting. Check out the show notes Grandpa put together with their contact information, including emails, phone numbers, and website. And remember, the Real Siblings look forward to hearing from you.